Ooh, bitch.
The last time I attended Tekko in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was 9 years ago in 2016, when I looked like this. I had such a great experience that since coming back to this channel in 2022, I've been talking every year about going back to Tekko. Well, this year, we finally did it. This is the official Convention Reviews Tekko 2025 review. The size of Tekko is medium. Tekko is actually the biggest anime convention in all of Pennsylvania, attracting around 12,000 guests over 4 days. The location gets a 10 out of 10. Tekko is held in the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, and the space holds the con absolutely beautifully, featuring multiple floors of spacious hallways, panel rooms, AMV rooms, meetup spaces, multiple stages for different performances, the game room, main events, a manga library, rooms for panels for kids, foam fighting, and so much more I'm forgetting. It's safe to say there was a lot going on over the weekend. And in my opinion, other than for one event, which I'll mention later, it never felt too crowded in the convention center. I do want to mention quickly that the main hotel connected directly to the convention center via a skywalk is the Westin. I made a point of staying there this year, as normally staying in the main hotel makes things a lot better for the con, but I really think any benefit gained by having the skywalk was fully negated by the Westin's terrible elevator system. If ever we needed to quickly return to the room for something, we were guaranteed to waste at least 20 minutes. I haven't stayed there, but I heard a lot of people saying the Drury right across the street is the best option for Tekko. Anyone who has stayed there, please let me know in the comments if that's true, and if not, what hotel do you recommend for Tekko? As for food, being in downtown Pittsburgh, of course, there are a lot of food options. We brought some food, but actually ended up just eating out most of the time. Finally, parking. If you're staying the whole weekend, parking can get expensive. Before the con, I asked on the Tekko Facebook group for any recommendations on where to park. I was instructed to track the Grant Street Transportation Center and park there. This was perfect, and we only ended up spending $31 per car for the entire weekend. That's pretty good. I do, however, recommend dropping your bags off at the hotel before you park, as it's like a 5-minute walk from all the hotels around the convention center, which isn't that bad, but it does kind of suck for carrying bags back and forth. Organization gets a 9.5 out of 10. I personally felt Tekko was organized beautifully this year. I saw some people complaining about it online after the con, but from our experience, everything started on time. Maps, signage, and the schedule were all very clear and easy to understand. They used Eventini for their schedule this year. It isn't my favorite scheduling app, but it worked fine. The only real issue I had was the lack of water stations around the con. I'm pretty sure this is because there are water fountains available, but I really think regardless of there being water fountains, conventions should always offer water stations. Water fountains can suck for cosplayers in heavy makeup or costumes that make it difficult for them to bend over. You could always carry around a bottle and fill it up at water fountains, but that just makes for another heavy thing I have to carry around everywhere. And don't try to tell me the con center was selling water bottles. No shot anyone should have to pay $6 for water at an event where they're going to be walking around all day. Please have water stations next year, at least in the dealer's room. Speaking of which, the dealer's room gets a 10 out of 10. It was huge. Okay, I've been to bigger dealer's rooms, but something about this dealer's room just felt really big to me. On Friday, it took like 4 hours just to do the initial walkthrough of every booth. There was a huge variety of booths, from vendors to artists to their fashion alley. They even had a legit Japanese convenience store set up in the middle of the whole thing. If I was to give one piece of feedback, however, I do personally like it better when artists and dealers are more clearly separated. As well, the way the booths were setup made it a little annoying to navigate. We couldn't just go up and down each row, instead needing to weave in a weird way in order to hit everything. The game room gets a 10 out of 10. Again, I saw people online complaining about the game room, mostly saying they need to fill it up more and there's too much empty space. I heavily disagree. The game room had so much to do, from console games to arcade games, claw machines, VR, and tabletop gaming. There was a little something for everyone. And personally, I like things being more spread out. It made for more room to walk around and not get too crowded by a million people. The only thing the game room was missing was Guitar Hero. But thankfully, a truly dedicated fan set up their own version of Clone Hero in the skywalk near the game room, saving me from being forced to give the game room a 0 out of 10 on principle. Main events get a 10 out of 10. I actually felt rather overwhelmed by the amount of things to do at Tekko. I've never had so much FOMO at a con in my life. I always felt like choosing one thing meant I was missing 5 other things I wanted to do. We didn't attend too many of the actual main events. We saw some of the masquerade, which looked to run beautifully. I absolutely loved the camera work. There were a lot of guests there. I know voice actors had a few panels, and some of the people in our group went to a concert that some of the guests were hosting and said it was a really great time. Personally, I want to give a shout out to the flea market that they hosted on Thursday and Sunday. It was by far the biggest flea market, swap meet, yard sale type event I've ever seen at a con. We found so much good stuff at these flea markets for such a good price that it actually made the dealer's room look a little bit worse. This was, however, the one event where things seemed to get a little too crowded. Some areas were shoulder to shoulder, but it was the only event where I saw this happen. This same room also hosted ribbon meetups, a J fashion market, and escape rooms that we sadly missed. All in all, I think it's safe to say there was a lot going on. I really feel if you found yourself getting bored at Tekko this year, that's on you for not really looking into what all was actually happening at the con. Staff gets a 10 out of 10. We actually had multiple interactions with the con's official staff, and all of them were incredibly kind to us. Again, I saw people online saying they experienced some power-hungry staff at the con, but as for myself and my group, the staff we interacted with were some of the nicest and most helpful we've seen at any con. Even the official security for the convention center wasn't that bad, at least to us. Let us know in the comments your experience with the staff at Tekko this year. The electronic dance party gets an 8 out of 10. Tekko has 2 dance parties, one Friday and one Saturday. Both were a lot of fun, but I knocked off a couple of points because of the production. The lighting honestly felt like the weakest lighting setup I've seen at a con all year. Also, the speakers could have been better. They weren't horrible by any means, but it seemed like there was a noticeable decrease in the sound in the back half of the room. This, however, was the one event where I saw water stations. Thank God. However, it was only one, and when we tried to use it at Friday's dance party, it was already out of water. The DJs were good, and it was still a fun event. I would just like to see the production step up a little bit in the future. After 9 years of waiting, I'm super happy I got to go back to Tekko this year. Even though it's pretty popular in Pennsylvania, I still think it's a pretty underrated con when it comes to the con scene as a whole. It's a high-quality 4-day con hosting countless events and some of the best shopping I've done at any con. At the end of the day, I give Tekko 2025 a 9.5 out of 10, as well as the convention review's seal of approval. I thought Tekko was a very good, premium feeling anime convention, with a couple of small issues here and there. We traveled almost 6 hours to get to Tekko, and I have no regrets about that. If you're anywhere near Pittsburgh and you like anime and or cosplay, you should absolutely do yourself the favor of attending Tekko. Stay nerdy.